Hi, everyone. We're back with another episode of Fire and Flair. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Adriana Egan. The episode today is called Being Single for a While. So, with this episode, I am going to be very vulnerable and do a deep dive into my journey, being single, dating, where this all kind of started, the whole nine yards. So it's going to be very open and vulnerable. And what I had talked about when I had talked about this in my previous episodes. So maybe you're tuning in for the first time, but I just kind of like to give a little caveat. I did touch on it on a high level, but was always apprehensive in how I wanted to talk about it if I did, just out of respect for this person, my ex, and just it's just very something heavy and private, and close to my heart. But I do believe it's a really important part of my story, especially when I do talk about my dating journey. So I am willing to be open and vulnerable with all of you and talking about it today. So when I say single for a while can be subjective to other people, right? Like what one person considers a while, someone else may not. So when I say a while, I would say for me, this fall will probably be 6 years of being single since my last long-term relationship outside of like a short 6 month relationship. So I'm like, technically there's been another one, but I'm talking really deep, like long term. So, anyways, it's been an interesting journey. And so this all kind of started back in 2020, actually, which is interesting timing. So I'll get more into that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a journey to say the least. And I have one again that's super unique. But if there's any way that with what I share, it's going to be helpful to you, the listener, then I'm willing to put it out there. So yeah, that being said, my last long-term relationship was with my college sweetheart. So we dated from 2015 to 2019. So we were together, I'm sorry, 2014 to 2019. So we dated for 5 solid years, which is a very long time. And so we had lived together. We moved to Seattle, had an apartment, got a cat, like everything. He really was the person that I thought I was going to marry and spend the rest of my life with. And I really wanted him to be that person. So his name is Tim, by the way, and he is my ex. So that being, like I said, we met in college and it's interesting because we met when we were 20, we broke up when we were 25, and I think 25 is a pivotal age because they say that's when your frontal lobe develops. And so at that point you're questioning a lot, you're trying to figure out adulthood. Either grow with someone or you grow apart. And so at this point, that's just kind of where you like wake up a little bit and you're like, whoa, I need to like actually start figuring my shit out. What do I want in life? Maybe you do start to figure it out. Maybe you question everything. Maybe your path alters in a way that you didn't think so. And so for me, it was like just I don't even know how to explain it, just a really, really heavy year. It's like when everything just kind of like fell apart. Like things were so bad with my job. I was not in a place I wanted to be in terms of where I lived. Like Seattle was not for me at all. My relationship was going in a different direction. It was like the whole slate had to be oh my God, I can't talk. Erased. Like everything was starting over. So basically at this point, I am like figuring out my job situation. I'm like, I need to move home. I need to get out of Seattle. I don't like it here. I've been here for 2 years. Nothing is fitting. I feel so out of place. Like, I need to move home to Chicago. And at this point, my relationship was just not doing well either. And so we had decided to both move back to Chicago and break up. And so at the time, I was going to move in with my dad because I just needed a landing pad, right? Like, I needed to really just regroup and like hit the reset button from everything I experienced in Seattle because it was so tumultuous and like traumatic, to be honest, especially coming off a breakup with someone that I was with for so long. So it's one of those things where it's like, let me just move back in, have some time to get settled. So this was end of 2019. 6 months later, the world shuts down and we're dealing with COVID, right? So it's like we're experiencing a full-on pandemic, which is just crazy in itself. So at this point in time, Tim and I had still been in contact. Like it it was one of those situations where in the past, like I never understood how people could stay friends with their ex. But with Tim, it was like, yes, he at one time was my boyfriend, but he was my best friend. And that's always like what you want in a partner. You want this person to be your significant other in like a romantic way, but you also want them to be your best friend. And that's really what he was for me. And so that's also why it was so hard to let go because I'm like, well, he knows me better than I know myself, honestly. Like he's been with me through so much. You're just used to like having that person. And so he was my best friend. At this point, we were still in contact because at the end of the day, like I did want to stay friends with him and stay in touch to a certain extent. I wanted the best for him. Like I cared about him so much as a person. So Tim had a lot of anxiety, depression, like mental health issues, addiction, like all wrapped into one. And so that was my first time being close with someone who was going through all that. And it took a huge toll on our relationship. So that's also, if you're not 100% as an individual, that's going to be hard when you're in a relationship. You're not going to show up as your best self or be the best partner. So, anyways, we were still kind of in contact and he was struggling and I didn't know how bad. So, the week that everything shut down, what was that, like March 20th or something? The week everything was shutting down with COVID, I get the phone call that unfortunately Tim had passed away. So it's like the feeling is like indescribable. I could still tear up and get emotional, like thinking about it and talking about it. So yeah, it was like worst case scenario, like this person that like at this point I was still grieving a 5 year relationship. Like that's not something that you just get over, right? So we had only been broken up for 5 months. So I'm still getting accustomed to even understanding and learning what being single is. I'm grieving this 5 year relationship, and now I have to grieve a person that's just passed away while the world is literally shut down. And it's like we're just feeling like we're in a movie. Like, what is actually happening? Is this real life? Purgatory. That's the first word that comes to mind. Purgatory. That is literally what I thought was happening. Like, did I die and I just didn't know it? Um, is this real life anymore? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the timing was just way too odd. Like, I don't even know the word to use. But yeah, it's unfortunately it's a moment, a core memory for me that I won't forget in experiencing this. And it was like the universe was forcing me into this deep purging isolation period. Like, let's just say COVID didn't happen, right? Like, how long realistically would it have taken me to not run away from myself, to not run away from my feelings, to not distract myself? Because a lot of times we do that being single. You know what I mean? Like, we want to actually not deal with our feelings and like deal with what's going on the inside. So it's like, how long would I have been running away from myself and things that I needed to face if it wasn't for being forced into isolation during COVID? Like, so in a way, I'm like, okay, as horrible as that was, like the timing happened the way it did for a reason. It was like kind of amplifying and speeding up this like healing, purging process, so to speak. But yeah, it fucking sucked. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm living with my dad during COVID and I'm grieving a breakup in a person. Like, just give it to me all at one time. Why don't you? So, interestingly enough, because I'm gonna throw in some little astrology tidbits here as well. And I will dive into this in another episode, but for those of you that get it, if you know, you know, there's this thing called your Saturn return. And so a lot of times it happens like sometime between 25 and 30. It's like a 3 year period. And it's basically like Saturn is the planet of discipline, structure, the taskmaster. It's like the dad of the zodiac. It's the one that's going to come in and like discipline you and like give you the tough love. Well, that's absolutely what I was getting during my Saturn return. Like, again, you cannot make this timing up. It's just too can't uncanny. So, yeah, during my Saturn return, I was getting dealt literally probably the hardest lessons I may have ever faced in my life, hopefully. And it was like the universe is like, we're not fucking around anymore. Like you need to like get your shit together and face yourself. Like I feel like I was flipped inside out. Um, like I have no other way to describe it, but I was definitely handed like you're gonna learn some lessons and get to know yourself and deal with this, and we're gonna like put you in a position where you're gonna be forced to do that. You're not gonna waste years repeating the same patterns and like running away from things that you don't want to face. So, um, and I did distract myself for a little bit after that, honestly, like I did. But then I got real and I was like, okay, it's time to go to therapy. It's time to deal with this. So the hard thing with this too was like for anyone that like passed away during like especially those 2 months when we were in like deep quarantine, it was like for anyone that passed away, it wasn't a normal process. There weren't proper grieving rituals, right? Because of the social distancing, the amount of people they were allowing. So like the fact that he was cremated, like I don't have a grave that like I can visit necessarily. So anyways, it was like I didn't have those normal proper grieving rituals for someone close to me that passed away. So that made it even like harder to like deal with it and understand what was going on. So during this time, especially being a very spiritual person, like I had to go to something to get any sort of relief, comfort, answers, basically. So I ended up going to a psychic or a medium because I'm like, I just need something right now. Like, I don't know what to do. So I ended up having a conversation with a psychic over the phone from a that was referred to by a friend. And so for those of you that are skeptics about psychics, I didn't plan this call in advance. I literally was like, no, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be same day. So I make sure that they have no time to like tell me something that I just want to hear, look into what I'm going through, whatever. So it was very kind of like sporadic, spur of the moment. But I was like, I called her and I was like, hey, can I get a reading with you like right now? And she was like, give me 30 minutes, but yes. So I'm like, okay, sweet. She's legit. Like, it's not like she needs time to like dick around. So I had the reading with her over the phone. And immediately she asked me, she goes, did someone close to you pass away? And I said, yes. So she starts doing cards or whatever she's doing, and she's describing the person. Like, I'm not giving her any information, right? So she describes a man who was mentally unstable, like losing his head. Um, and then she starts kind of tapping into his energy. She's like, okay, well, she's like, can you send me a picture of him? Like, I want to kind of tap into his energy right now and see if I can reach him. Send her the picture. So then she's able to get like some messaging from him. And it's just crazy what she told me because it's like, you can't make this stuff up, right? And so it did bring me a little bit of solace and comfort and like closure, relief, like something that I was seeking during this time. But in this reading, she touched on like things that were going to happen in the future. So it was like she knew that there was this like really heavy like death and like loss that I was experiencing. But then she was like also trying to tap into like, okay, well, what does the rest of the future hold? And I'll just like never forget hearing her say this. It's like etched in my brain because I was like, please tell me that like there's something positive coming, like am I going to have another partner that someday, am I going to meet my person, like what's going to happen with me with dating? Not that I was trying to speed up my grief and like forgetting, but it was like you just need to find some sort of comfort in what you're experiencing in the moment. And she goes, no, you're going to be single for a while. And I just could have died in that moment. When I tell you die, I wanted the to be evaporated. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. Like what I'm experiencing, the average person is never going to experience in their life. This is a very unique situation. And now on top of it, you tell me that I'm going to be single for a while. Like I just like couldn't like come on. So yeah, I just like wanted to die in that moment. It was like the worst thing I could have heard. I should have asked her, like, well, what does a while mean? But I'm glad I didn't. It probably was better that I didn't know because, I mean, let's just say she was not exaggerating when she said a while. As I told you, I'm going on 6 years now of being single, so it's been a while. But when she said that, it was like, oh God, I got so emotional. Like I called my mom after, I was bawling and I was like, that's just the last thing I needed to hear. Because what if that means that I don't ever get married or I don't have my own family or I don't meet the right person? You know what I'm saying? I had other psychic readings that said otherwise, that had some parallels into what my future holds in terms of meeting someone, and it is positive, but she did not lie in that moment to me when she was like, no, you're going to be single for a while. Like, you have to get through this. And she was right. Like, I really did, because there was a lot there to unpack. And that's not something you just get over. Like, that has taken me, it took me a long time to get through like the really deep, heavy part of that healing. I mean, it's always an ache or like something heavy on my heart. It's never going to go away. But obviously, that ache has become less over time. So I did do what I needed in terms of like really, I'm going to describe it as gutting myself and really having to like question everything around me at that point. Like it really had me question every single thing in my life. Like it was like I was just ripped open. And so it just became a time for me to grow up, and like that pivotal life moment just, it shaped me a lot into the person that I am. It ignited the spiritual awakening in me. Like that's all I can describe it as. And again, that the timing of that's interesting with COVID too, because there's enough out there about like how the collective consciousness has changed since COVID. So anyways, all that to say, it was definitely just a spiritual awakening where I was like ripped the fuck open, and I've am forever changed because of that. I mean, how could you not be? But I've used that in a productive way, right? Like I didn't become more damaged because of it. I didn't become more broken. If anything, I use this as a catalyst of like my own healing and growth and helping others, becoming the best person I could be, using my struggles and journey to relate and help other people like I am now. So that's ultimately what I took from it. And that's what Tim would have wanted too. Like, I'm just not the kind of person that's ever going to use bad things that happen to me as an excuse to like treat others poorly or, um, use that to remain unhealed and project onto other people. That's absolutely not what I would ever want to do. So, anyways, yeah, I was very shook after that psychic reading. And so here we are. I'm still dealing with this tumultuous journey of being single and dating. And like, I'll get into more specifics later on, but this was the start of that journey, so to speak, and just something so pivotal to my life that it's just sometimes it's hard to even put into words of like how someone could understand or like what I felt. And thinking back to that time, it's like I can't even believe that was real, you know? So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is like very, very heavy, vulnerable information. It's not a lighthearted episode, so to speak, but again, it's really important because I'm not the only person that's gone through, as unique and weird as this situation is, like other people still go through really traumatic stuff in their own dating journeys, right? Like abusive partners and divorce. Like you just never know what someone has gone through, right? So it's like there's always like if you ask almost every single person, I guarantee there's going to be something pivotal or something traumatic or tumultuous they've gone in, especially as it relates to like dating, because romantic relationships are such a mirror to us as people. Like they are, it's actually one of like the greatest lessons and teachers in about yourself is through other people. Like I firmly believe that other people are a mirror to us, and I see that more as time goes on. So romantic partnerships and dating can actually act as one of the best ways that we grow and learn about ourselves. And it's not pretty. Like sometimes it's not. And you have to go through the hard stuff in order to get to the other side and like become better as a person and heal and what all that entails. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I kind of want to open up like this platform. Like, I do have an email address associated with the podcast. So, if anyone listening out there ever wants to write in anonymously to me to share your story, to say that, yeah, I've been through this, I can relate, this changed me as a person, this is my story, like, I would love to just like hear more and learn about what you as the audience like has also been through. And again, If you don't want to be anonymous, that's fine. If you want to be anonymous, but the email, and I will link it in the notes, but it's fireandflairpodcast@gmail.com. So just know that like I always have a space if you just want to write in, even if like you don't necessarily want the sherry stored on the podcast, if you just want to share it with me and have something or someone to write to, if you don't it's like sometimes people can't even talk about this stuff to friends or family members because they don't feel comfortable. They feel invalidated, dismissed, misunderstood. Like I'm very thankful that I have a support system. Not everyone can say that. So I'm here to be a support system or some sort of platform or forum for you as a listener to write into or just communicate with. Like, even if you just want me to send an email back to you, I'm all for it. That's what I'm here for. So I did just want to actually mention that because it's something that I feel like it's a good episode in order to be able to like mention that. I actually kind of forgot about it, but I'm glad that I mentioned it just now. So yeah, this is a safe space and I'm someone that's here to be a listener, also to you as well. You listen to me, but I'm here for support absolutely. Especially when talking about more like vulnerable not so lighthearted topics like this. So not every episode will be this way. Obviously, I do like to keep it more on like the lighthearted side, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all go through stuff, and this is was an important part. It's important context into other things that I'm going to talk about, right? Because authenticity and vulnerability is important. That's the opener to how we actually connect. And it took me a while to realize that too. And at this point in my life, I'm not about faking it. I am 100% going to be authentic and vulnerable, even when it's hard for me. Like I'm showing up on camera with my face, something I never thought I would do, talking about one of the most vulnerable parts of my life. But when you feel called to something, you just go with it. At least that's what I'm going to go with now. So, yeah, very interesting part of my life. And like I said, I just, for those of you listening out there, just know that like you're not alone, especially if you too have gone through something just really, really heavy and traumatic. It doesn't even have to be related to dating, like death in general, right? Like I know so many people that have experienced loss and grief, and it's just, it changes you forever. It's one of the hardest things that you'll ever go through. And so we're all human. And at some point, most of us do experience it, whether we want to or not, because death is inevitable. Like it's a part of our life. And so anyways, I think that with all of this too, it was interesting because outside of like high school and college, when we kind of have those built-in like social groups where it's easy to meet people, like I've had to navigate dating as an adult, and it has been so just, especially post-COVID, like it's so layered. It's there's so much to unpack. It's like COVID changed the dating landscape, dating apps, working from home, just the way our world is now. We're so much more isolated and disconnected than we were before. Like, I think it's very hard to meet people for whatever reason. So I'm still trying to figure out different ways in which I can do that. And so, I think that like the really hard part for me too, and what I dealt with for a good year or two after this was like, I felt like I was being punished. Like I was like, why the fuck did I have to go through this? And then there's everyone else I know is like at home with their significant other during lockdown, all cozy. They have someone. I'm facing the complete opposite thing. Like like the worst thing you could experience. Like newly single and grieving my ex. Great. Like it felt like I was being punished. I was so angry for a long time, especially because I didn't have anyone that could relate to me. Like this is not something most with the dynamics of the situation, it wasn't something most people I know would have gone through. So that just made me even more angry, honestly. Like I have to go through this really horrible thing and I feel so isolated and like no one can understand me. It was just a really, really hard thing to navigate. And so um it's again like going back to how nowadays, like especially the millennial generation, we are the first ones that have had to experience dating with all these like kind of in isolation, to be honest. That's what we're doing. We're dating in isolation. We're working from home all day. We're on the apps in the hopes of meeting someone. We get things DoorDash to us, then we doom scroll and watch Netflix. Like this is like the all like the worst ways in which someone is supposed to be able to date, right? Like, I'm not saying that apps don't help people. I am still figuring out my own relationship with them, but all that to say, it's like the cards are stacked against us, right? Like this is just really tough waters. So I don't know. I still wonder, like, how am I in the same place 5 years later? That's what it feels like. How am I still single? What are the lessons that I still have to learn, right? Because that's what my mind likes to go to. Like, well, I must still be single or experiencing the same thing because I haven't learned my lessons. Like, I'm being punished. There's still things that I have to work on. Um, Anyways, so this episode is really for the ones that have struggled with modern dating. They feel disillusioned by the process. They're questioning their timeline, as I do many times. So I also like am big on karma and like past lives, like what karmic debt am I paying for? Like I think sometimes like did I go through this because I'm experiencing a karmic lesson or karmic debt from a past life? For those that you also maybe believe in it, like that is something that I've questioned with this too. So I don't know, take what you will, what resonates. At the end of the day, like I would not be the person I am and be as strong as I am if this didn't happen. Like, of course, if I could go back, like, I wouldn't ever choose this to like happen to me, but there's always that like silver lining, right? So, as I mentioned, it's like it was a catalyst for like the spiritual awakening and my growth as a person. And, um, yeah, I think that there are more people than not out there that are like experiencing the struggle of modern dating. And I know there's like so much out there on like Instagram and TikTok that I see it can feel isolating. I think more people are talking about it now, and it's like nice that we do have social media. Like again, I like have my love-hate relationship with it, but there are times where I've scrolled past something and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's not just me." Like okay, I'm not the only one. Like back before we had social media, like situations like this could have felt way more heavy and isolating than they do now because there was just not the same kind of space to talk about it, like there is with podcasts, social media, etc. So I don't know. It's interesting times we're living in, but like I said, this was such an important part of my journey, and I'm trying to really not see it as punishment, but recognize the lesson in solitude, healing, codependency, which I didn't realize I had some of that before, and just like learning how to be content in my own company, honestly, which I will probably dive into more into like other episodes, but that's kind of like a preview into what this whole like dealing with grief during COVID was for me was I had to heal so many like unhealthy patterns that I didn't even realize I had. And so that like it's interesting because I look back and I'm like, wow, I must have been a shell of a person like before. I mean, you naturally grow more confident over time, but it's like, yeah, I have really come into my own to be the most confident, assertive version of myself. And I was not that, especially before this. So it's just interesting to look back and see how stuff like this changes you over time. But anywho, I said I was going to keep my episodes to 30 minutes or less, and we're coming up on that time. But I think I got out most of what I needed to with this one, especially talking about something heavy and like the vibe overall just kind of feels off. Like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like, oh, it's a cloudy day. It's a weekday. I'm talking about like, really heavy content. Um, but I'm trying to make the best of it. So I did end up lighting a candle before just because it helps with like the cozy vibe because I do love recording. I do like it. This is like the fun part for me. Like the editing is a heavy lift, but when I get to sit here and like pretend I'm like talking to you as my invisible audience, like it really does something for me in a way that I can't explain. Like it's very fulfilling. That being said, I do want to end this episode on more of a positive note. So I mentioned lighting a candle to have that like kind of cozy element. And so um, at this point, my podcast doesn't have any ads. That may change at some point, but right now it doesn't. So enjoy. But the one kind of ad that I am going to have is for my mom's candle business. So my mom, love her. I'm going to have her on the podcast sometime, but she started her own luxury candle company called Cashmere Bunnies. The reason it's luxury is because it's 100% organic, chemical-free candle made with the best quality wax. It's coconut and apricot creme wax. It's the best quality wax you can get, even beyond soy. And so the vessel it comes in is also recyclable. You can repurpose it, which is super nice. So let me grab the candle. I'm probably gonna burn myself. Yeah, it's super hot. Hold on, give me 1 second here so I can grab it. I'm gonna burn my apartment down. So as you can see, it's currently lit. It's beautiful. Um, but this is what it looks like. I have to literally hold it. I can't touch it because I'll burn myself. But this is what it looks like. It's super cute. It's so pretty. It like can honestly go with almost anyone's home decor, I feel like. But it's beautiful. So Cashmere Bunny candles, luxury candle line. Like I said, a lot of people are actually wanting chemical-free candles now because we're a lot more um what am I looking for? Intentional about what goes into our body, the products we buy, fragrance free, chemical free. So it's such a great selling point. She right now has 8 different scents. The one I showed you is called Rich Bitch. So I think maybe at another point I will do a deeper dive into like the different scents, what they smell like. But yeah, if you're wanting like a really good quality candle, they also make great gifts too. Like the packaging it comes in, top notch. Um, but I'll probably be talking about these candles a good amount as kind of like an ad. So here we are, rich bitch. I'm gonna light it and manifest all the rich bitch vibes. So hopefully I can become a rich bitch. But anyways, so just wanted to end this episode on a positive note, especially because I've really enjoyed being part of my mom's business, like seeing her entrepreneurial journey and like helping her with these candles. I'm a lot more involved than I initially thought I was going to be, but it's amazing because like not only does that ignite this like entrepreneur spirit I have, the podcast does too. So now they can kind of coincide, which is great. So I will link the website for Cashmere Bunnies again in the show notes so that if you're interested, you can take a look. If you ever, it's hard because it's like you actually want to smell the different scents, right? So I guess if there's any way you want to reach out to me and like ask if you can smell them, we are doing pop-ups here and there, not so much at the moment, but that our goal is at some point is to have more pop-ups where people can actually come and like smell them if you want, or take a chance and order one offline and just see if you like the scent. So yeah, but I had to throw it out there, of course. I'm a big supporter of small businesses, especially nowadays. And so if you're listening and you also know me personally and want to come engage in a sensual experience smelling the different scents, let me know. But who doesn't love candles, right? Like they're just, oh, they're one of my like guilty pleasure self-care things that I go to. Anyways, all that being said, thank you so much for allowing me to share in this experience. I hope that, at the end of the day, there was something you could take away. It helped you. Like I said, it was a little more vulnerable and heavy, but sometimes that's just life. And some episodes are going to be like that, but it's definitely going to be an important segue into other things I have coming up. So stay tuned for some stories about, it's going to be like more comedic and funny because I'm going to talk about some bad dating app dates I've experienced and stuff like that. So it'll definitely be great entertainment. But again, thank you so much as always for tuning in. It means the world. I'm sending all the good vibes and love your way. And until we meet again next time, bye.